go, go! And we'll start a commotion, set friendship in motion. Let's set friendship in motion. Let's set friendship in motion.
Halloween is my favorite time of the year, and you know what I love the best? A good scary story. So why don't we watch some right now? All aboard for big adventures! Stepney, the Bluebell engine, works closely with his friend Rusty. One day, the Fat Controller came to see him.
Rusty tells me you're in need of a change, so I want you to help Toby and Mavis at the quarry.
Oh, thank you, sir. Shall I be away long?
Just today, but please be careful. It is easy to get lost up there, so be back before dark.
Don't worry, we will.
Stepney soon arrived at the quarry.
We're glad you're here to help us.
And I'm happy to be here. Oh, these Martrox.
Only some of them? There's masses more in the sidings.
Well, as I like to say, the more the merrier.
Stepney was really enjoying himself. The dustier he became, the harder he worked. Mavis and Toby were impressed. Later, the foreman came to speak to his driver.
We have a night special to take to the building site at the new branch line. Do you want to pull the train?
Yes, please. We'd be delighted to.
All right then, I'll make the arrangements.
Driver, don't you think we should have asked the Fat Controller's permission first? I'm supposed to be back home for night.
Don't worry, I'm sure he won't mind. Besides, after we've delivered the train, we'll head off home right away.
Well, I guess it's all right then.
Night came.
Please be careful, Stepney.
I will, and thank you for a lovely day. I do hope I can come back again.
Just a heads up, the line can be quite spooky at night.
Thank you for the warning, Mavis, and I'm sure I'll be fine.
And with that, Stepney puffed away. Stepney arrived on time and made the delivery of rocks and stone for the workmen. Then he set off for home. That's when the trouble began. The fog came down.
Mavis was right. Suddenly everything does look spooky.
Look! There's a signal box!
And the signal is green too. Someone must have been expecting us.
But they were wrong. The points had been set in the wrong direction, but Stepney didn't realize this.
Home, here we come!
Then they approached an unknown area. The driver made a decision.
It's best if we rest here until the fog clears.
Wait a minute. What are those strange sounds?
Then the fog slowly lifted.
Oh no! We're in the scrapyard!
His driver and fireman went for help. Stepney was all alone, but not for long.
Well. It isn't our old pal, Stepney. We got you this time, buddy. You'll make very fine scrap indeed. Buffer and Bert! With pleasure, Harry. All right, come on, Stepney. Let's go. Let's move. Haven't got all night.
The diesels took him to the large smelter shed.
Bye bye, Stepney.
Stepney looked up. Above him was a huge grabber.
This engine's not for scrapping!
The grabber wasn't listening. But just as it was about to grab hold of him,
Stop!
there stood the fat controller.
It's a good thing I decided to visit this yard tonight, but saving you from scrap is becoming quite a habit, Stepney. Please stop it.
Yes, sir. But I have learned something.
What's that?
There's no place like home.
And that's exactly where you're going now.
Blue bells forever!
We'll be right back for more Trainz Time with the German of Sodor.
Look up, look down, look all around. To catch these rising stars, look no further than the tracks. Thomas and Friends Track Stars on DVD and VHS. Sir Topham Hatt gives it 5 stars. With so much to do on the island of Sodor, it's not how you look, how much you can carry, or how fast you can go. What matters most is keeping it all on track.
You are a really useful engine.
Come ride the rails with Sodor's Track Stars. The always useful Thomas, James with his splendid red coat, Emily who never forgets her smile, and Percy who always pitches in. Track Stars on DVD and VHS. Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you. Happy together.
Something's gone wrong in the happy-go-lucky world of Nintendo. Introducing Super Smash Bros., where all your favorite characters go toe-to-toe in one 4-player star-studded slam fest, only on Nintendo 64.
Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends. Just look at the trouble they can get into. Now, Ertl bring you 7 brand new Thomas models to collect. George, the grumpy steamroller. Culdy and Godred, the mountain engines. Diesel 199. Toad, the brake van. The mail trucks. And Scrap Trevor. Children will love them all, and so will Thomas.
And now back to Trainz Time with the German of Sodor.
And every year on the date of the accident it runs again, as a warning to others, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul.
Percy, what are you talking about?
The ghost train. Driver saw it last night.
Where?
Asked Thomas and Toby together. He didn't say, but it must have been on our line. He says ghost trains run as a warning to others. Oh, he went on, it makes my wheels wobble to think of it.
Pooh, said Thomas. You're just a silly little engine, Percy. I'm not scared.
Thomas didn't believe in your ghost, said Percy next morning. His driver laughed.
Neither do I. It was a pretend ghost on television.
Percy was disappointed, but he was too busy all day with his stone trucks to think about ghosts. That evening he came back light engine from the harbour. He liked running at night. He coasted along without effort. The rails hummed and signal lights changed to green at his approach. He always knew where he was, even in the dark. Crow's Farm Crossing, he chanted happily. We shan't be long now. Sam had forgotten that Mr. Crow wanted a load of lime taken to 40-acre field. When he remembered, it was already dark. He drove in a hurry, bumped over the crossing, and sank his cart's front wheels in mud at the field gate. The horse tried hard, but couldn't move it. The cart's tail still fouled the railway. Sam gave it up. He unharnessed the horse and rode back to the farm for help. There's still time, he told himself. The next train isn't due for an hour. But he reckoned without Percy. Percy broke the cart to smithereens, and lime flew everywhere. They found no one at the crossing, so went on to the nearest signal box. "Hello," said the signalman. "What have you done to Percy? He's white all over." Percy's driver explained. "I'll see to it," said the signalman. "But you'd better clean Percy, or people will think he's a ghost." Percy chuckled. "Do let's pretend I'm a ghost and scare Thomas. That'll teach him to say I'm a silly little engine." On their way they met Toby, who promised to help. Thomas was being oiled up for his evening train when Toby hurried in saying, "Percy's had an accident." "Poor engine," said Thomas. "Botheration! That means I'll be late." "They cleared the line for you," Toby went on, "but there's something worse." "Out with it, Toby," Thomas interrupted. "I can't wait all evening." "I've just seen something," said Toby in a shaky voice. "It looked like Percy's ghost. It said it was coming here to warn us." "Pooh, who cares? Don't be frightened, Toby, I'll take care of you." Percy approached the shed quietly. He shrieked. "Let me in, let me in," said Percy in a spooky voice. "No, no," answered Toby, "not by the smoke of my chimney, chim. I'll shove, and I'll puff, and I'll break your door in." "Oh dear," exclaimed Thomas, "it's getting late. I'd no idea. I must find Annie and Clarabelle." He hurried out the other way. Percy was none the worse for his adventure. He was soon cleaned, but Thomas never returned. Next morning, Toby asked him where he'd been. "Ah, well," said Thomas, "I knew you'd be sad about Percy, and I didn't like to, intrude. I slept in the goods shed and... Oh," he went on hurriedly, "sorry, can't stop. Got to see a coach about a train." And he shot off like a jackrabbit. Percy rolled up alongside. Well, he exclaimed. "What do you know about that?" "Anyone would think," chuckled Toby, "that our Thomas had just seen a ghost."
We'll be right back for more Trainz Time with the German of Sodor.
The fun never ends with these exciting Thomas and Friends books. Join Thomas, Percy, and all the useful engines in Giant Board and Lift the Flap books, fun-filled storybooks, and exciting new activity books. Look for these and other Thomas and Friends adventures wherever books are sold, and hop on board for trainloads of fun.
It's the Greedy Witch Doctor's Fruity Fortune!
Whoa, colorific! Give me back my scrumptious Fruit Loop cereal, or I'll use my magic sprinkles on you! Tickle, tickle! He spilled his sprinkles! Look at the Fruit Loops now!
Kellogg's Fruit Loops with sprinkles! Part of this balanced breakfast, but not for long. Just follow your nose.
For the fruity taste that shows!
a busy day on the railway for Thomas and friends. With lots to see and do, Thomas needs a full load of water and coal to have lots of energy and be useful all day. Adding tunnels, track, and bridges means new adventures to come. Creating the world of Thomas and Friends can be hours of fun. Available now, only from Tomy.
And now back to Trainz Time with the German of Sodor.
The little engines were busy clearing their railway of leaves and broken branches. Peter, Sam, and Rusty often worked together. One day, Rusty helped Peter, Sam to a water tower, and once there, hooted goodbye. Peter, Sam felt much better after his long drink, but the trucks were bored.
Let's break away.
Their loads were heavy and couplings old. One snapped.
Faster! Faster!
Shouted the trucks. A sign read, "Slow, steep bends and ravine ahead," but the silly trucks never saw it. Then it was too late. Peter, Sam arrived at the scene of the disaster. His driver sighed.
This was our fault. We didn't secure them properly. We'll have to go and get help to pull them out. Mr. Percival will be very annoyed.
And he was.
You will shun trucks in a yard until I can trust you again.
Duncan was delighted with Peter, Sam's dilemma.
Fancy not securing your trucks on a hill. They'll come back to spook you in your special funnel. Woo, woo, woo.
And who's to say that you're not afraid of ghosts?
Ha! Ghosts. Things that go bump in the night. Rubbish.
Well, I'll tell you a story that'll make your funnel quiver. A long time ago, a little engine was returning home. It was a misty, moonlit night. As the engine crossed the old iron bridge, he suddenly lost control and plunged over the side into the swamps below. He was never found again, but many workmen will tell you that when the moon is full, they've seen the little engine trying to get home. But he never reaches the other side. So what do you think of that, Duncan?
Pah, what nonsense.
Never mind him, Peter, Sam. He'd be frightened if he really saw a ghost.
This gave Peter, Sam's driver an idea.
Let's play a trick on Duncan.
The next day, he spoke to Duncan's driver and fireman, who agreed.
We'll do it tonight.
Duncan had to take coal trucks to the slate mines and then bring slate trucks back. Duncan's driver decided, as part of the plan, to cross the old iron bridge.
Haunted bridge. Pah, it's as tame as a pet rabbit.
But all the same, he kept thinking about Rusty's story. When dusk fell, he was keen to leave.
Ugh, if we don't go now, Scarloy will take my favourite place in the sheds.
We can't go until we've collected all the trucks,
His driver replied. He could see their plan was working because Duncan was nervous. When night fell, they set off. The moon was full and the mists were rising around the old iron bridge. Duncan whistled and the sound echoed everywhere. Then, ahead, he saw flickering lights. His driver knew that they were only little insects that shine brightly at night, but to Duncan, they looked like an engine. Next, his driver secretly threw a rock from the cab into the ravine below.
It's the ghost! Take me back! Take me back, please!
When Duncan reached the safety of his shed, he closed his eyes tightly.
Spooked are you, Duncan?
No, I'm asleep!
Wailed Duncan, and he refused to open his eyes. He did, though, when he thought his driver wasn't looking, just to make sure that he was still there.
We'll be right back for more Trainz Time with the German of Sodor.
Now you can join Thomas and his friends for lots of fun on your own computer. It's the latest in Thomas and Friends games. Building the new line. Join your favorite characters on the island of Sodor. Build multiple tracks in 3D environments. The quarry, the farmland, the docks. Clean and decorate engines for the big grand opening. Create your own landscape. And click into play mode and drive Thomas, James, Edward, or Percy around the track. But get ready, you never know what surprises you may encounter. Colorful and exciting, Thomas and his friends come to life on the tracks you design and build. Look for Building the New Line wherever great computer games are sold. And you can experience even more of the magic of Thomas and Friends with the entire collection of CD-ROM games. Learn more at www.funkidsgames.com.
It's Thomas! Hop on board to discover the most exciting adventure the island of Sodor has ever known in the all-new feature-length movie, Thomas and Friends, The Great Discovery, guest starring Pierce Brosnan as the narrator. It's a long-lost town, and every engine on the island is getting it ready for a special Sodor Day celebration. But when one mishap leads to another, Thomas sets off on a dangerous mission. Look for the all-new movie, Thomas and Friends, The Great Discovery, now on DVD.
And now for a special premiere, only here.
A fair had come to the island of Sodor. Men had set up stalls and rides near Great Waterton. A notice on one of them said it was a ghost train. At the station, everyone was talking about ghosts. "What is a ghost train?" asked Henry. "It's a tunnel that trains run through," his driver explained. "It's full of ghosts and other spooky things to scare people." "Pah! I'm not scared of stupid old ghosts," Henry said. But he did not want to meet one, just in case. That evening, Henry's driver told him, "Part of the tunnel roof has collapsed. The Fat Controller says we must take some men to clear away the rubble." "Bother," grumbled Henry. "I was looking forward to a rest." Still grumbling, Henry pushed 2 trucks and a brake van full of workmen into the tunnel.
Luckily, it didn't take the workmen long to clear rubble, and Henry was looking forward to returning to the sheds. But as he started to reverse out of the tunnel, there was a loud clanking noise, and Henry had to stop quickly. "Your tender is off the line," cried his driver. "Some more rubble must have fallen. We can't go forward and we can't go back. We shall have to wait until the fat controller can sort something out." It was very quiet in the tunnel. The workmen walked home and Henry dozed. But then, he woke up with a start. He was moving. "Wait, what? Driver? What's going on?" But no one replied. Then, suddenly, wailed a ghostly voice, and a white shape floated towards Henry. He was terrified. His wheels were shaking, but he hurried on. Then he saw a station ahead. He felt much better now and wanted to stop, but as he approached the platform, he changed his mind quickly, because on the platform was a skeleton staff and what appeared to be a very thin controller. "Oh, help!" cried Henry, and raced further into the tunnel. After a while, he heard a whistle in the distance. "That sounds like Gordon," Henry said. But it was a ghostly, shadowy Gordon who rushed towards him with a scream and a roar. "Oh no! Please help!" Just as he felt he could bear no more, he heard his driver's voice. "Wake up, Henry," the driver said. "Your tender is back on the line. We can go home now." Henry was delighted. He went quickly back to the shed and had a long drink of water. He felt better after that, but he was careful not to tell the other engines about the ghost train. He was sure they would laugh at him.
Well, those sure were some scary stories. I think I got a bit scared myself. And don't worry if you got scared too, because everyone is scared of something, so there's no reason to feel embarrassed. Oh, that's my whistle. Well, see you next time.
Clap your hands, stomp your feet, feel the rhythm as the trains go by. As the trains go by, they're the team, best in steam, making tracks to discovery. Discovery. Get on board, pull the cord, blow your whistle for the dream team. The dream team. Work together to be better friends forever. Here's the steam team. The steam team. Gordon is thundering down his line. Milan's always thoughtful and kind. Percy pulls all the mail on time. James Payne, it really shines. Emily's bright, Rebecca is fun. Let's not forget Thomas, he's the cheeky one. All aboard the steam team. Get on board. Clap your hands, stomp your feet, feel the rhythm as the trains go by. As the trains go by, they're the team, Pistons team, making tracks to discovery. Discovery. Get on board, pull the cord, blow your whistle for the dream team. The dream team.
lifted the wreckage out of the river. All that was left was a pile of twisted scrap, and 2 skeletons still clinging to the side of the cab. Legend has it, on Halloween night, if you puff along the causeway, you will see the ghost of the engine and his crew trying to make it home. But they never do.
Ha! Ah, here we go again. Can't you just enjoy the story for once, Duncan?
Maybe if they were actually real and scary, not just some old guard's tale. Besides, all these stories about an engine who never returned home but you can still see its ghost are getting old. Ooh, so scary.
I thought meeting that ghost on the old iron bridge would have taught you a lesson.
Pah, I know it's just a stupid prank. I wasn't really scared. I thought I'd just go along with the joke.
That's not what I remember. It's the ghost, take me back.
I did no such thing.
You refused to come out of the shed for 3 days.
That is complete...
Come along, Duncan. We've got a job to do.
A job? At this hour? Can't somebody else go?
No, Duncan. Duke has burst a valve and can't pull his train. The Thin Controller wants us to bring his train home. Come on.
Have fun, Duncan.
Don't let the ghost get you.
Whatever. Ghosts, please.
Ah, thank you for coming, Duncan. These passengers need to get home.
You're welcome, but watch out for the ghosts. All the other engines are saying that there are ghosts about, but I don't believe it.
I don't know. I've seen plenty of strange things in my days.
Ugh, not you too. You're going soft in your old age, Duke. Ghosts? Just ghosts.
Oops, dropped my scarf.
One time, only one time, I was a wee bit scared, I suppose. But even then, it's not that big of a deal. I can't even understand why Rusty has to tell those stupid.
Ooh, bumpy ride. What the? Uh-oh.
Just a bit further. I've got you. There we go.
We better go and call for help.
We'll escort the passengers to the next station. It's just a little walk down the line.
What? You're just gonna leave me here?
Afraid so, old boy. The safety of the passengers is our first priority. We'll be back soon.
Alright, could everyone please exit the coaches and follow us back to the station?
What am I gonna do now? The crane will probably take forever to get here. And the other engines, oh, they'll be making fun of me. Whoa. What's that? What the? No, ha ha. Very funny. Trying to scare me into believing the story. No, it can't be. Go away, ghost. Go away. No.
Hello again, Duncan. What are you doing down there?
Oh, you know why I'm here. That's why you've come to help.
I can leave you down there if you want.
Okay. Sorry. It's just, I wasn't looking where I was going. There was a rock on the line, and I fell into the water. And a ghost showed up.
Wait a minute. Did you say something about a ghost?
I did not. Well, I don't know what I saw.
Don't worry, Duncan. You seem like you've had a rough day, so I won't tease you about it. Let's get you back on the rails.
Thank you, Rusty.
scary.
I forgot about Duke. This would never suit His Grace. Go away. I'm not in the mood to deal with ghosts right now.
Okay.
We'll be right back to the MilanToon PrimeTime Spooky Month Spectacular on the MilanToon channel.
Thomas the Train's Adventures is back, and better than ever.
Wow!
With 5 all-new episodes.
Bang on time, bang on time, bang on time.
Full of fun.
Wake up, Grandpa!
Suspense.
Gordon, stop!
And mishaps.
Snowplow coming through!
Whoa! Boo? Meet up with some old friends.
Bulstrode?
Who's Bulstrode? And meet some new ones.
I'm Connor. It's very nice to meet you.
And join in the adventure.
Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right.
Please be quiet, Bradford. I've got a headache.
Welcome to Ulfstead Castle, Duke.
May as well cut to the chase.
Thomas the Train's Adventures. New episodes begin October 31st.
We now return to the MilanToon PrimeTime Spooky Month Spectacular.
And every year on the date of the accident, it runs again, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul. Percy, what are you talking about? The ghost train. Driver saw it last night. Where? Asked Thomas and Toby together. He didn't say, but it must have been on our line. He says ghost trains run as a warning to others. Oh, he went on, it makes my wheels wobble to think of it. Pooh, said Thomas. You're just a silly little engine, Percy. I'm not scared. Thomas didn't believe in your ghost, said Percy next morning. His driver laughed. Neither do I. It was a pretend ghost on television. Percy was disappointed, but he was too busy all day with his stone trucks to think about ghosts. That evening he came back, light engine, from the harbour. He liked running at night. He coasted along without effort, the rails humming cheerfully under his wheels, and signal lights changing to green at his approach. He always knew just where he was, even in the dark. Crow's Farm Crossing, he chanted happily. We shan't be long now. Sam had forgotten that Mr. Crow wanted a load of lime taken to 40-acre field. When he remembered, it was nearly dark. He drove in a hurry. Bumped over the crossing and sank his cart's front wheels in mud at the field gate. The horse tried hard but couldn't move it. The cart's tail still fouled the railway. Sam gave it up. He unharnessed the horse and rode back to the farm for help. There's still time, he told himself. The next train isn't due for an hour. But he'd reckoned without Percy. Percy broke the cart to smithereens, and lime flew everywhere. They found no one at the crossing, so went on to the nearest signal box. "Hello," said the signalman. "What have you done to Percy? He's white all over." Percy's driver explained. "I'll see to it," said the signalman. "But you'd better clean Percy, or people will think he's a ghost." Percy chuckled. "Do let's pretend I'm a ghost and scare Thomas. That'll teach him to say I'm a silly little engine." On their way they met Toby, who promised to help. Thomas was being oiled up for his evening train when Toby hurried in saying, "Percy's had an accident." "Poor engine," said Thomas. "Botheration. That means I'll be late." "They've cleared the line for you," Toby went on. "But there's something worse." "Out with it, Toby," Thomas interrupted. "I can't wait all evening." "I've just seen something," said Toby in a shaky voice. "It looked like Percy's ghost. It said it was coming here to warn us." "Pooh, who cares? Don't be frightened, Toby. I'll take care of you." Percy approached the shed quietly and glided through it. "Peep, peep, 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 peep," he shrieked. "Let me in! Let me in!" said Percy in a spooky voice. "No, no," answered Toby. "Not by the smoke of my chimney, chim. I'll chaff and I'll puff and I'll break your door in. Oh!" "Whoa, dear," exclaimed Thomas. "It's getting late. I'd no idea. I must find Annie and Clarabel." He hurried out the other way. Percy was none the worse for his adventure. He was soon cleaned, but Thomas never returned. Next morning, Toby asked him where he'd been. "Oh, well," said Thomas, "I knew you'd be sad about Percy, and I didn't like to, intrude. I slept in a good shed, and, Oh, he went on hurriedly. "Sorry, I can't stop. Got to see a coach about a train." And he shot off like a jackrabbit. Percy rolled up alongside. "Well, well, well," he exclaimed. "What do you know about that?" "Anyone would think," chuckled Toby, "that our Thomas had just seen a ghost."
I'm a mixed traffic engine. That means coaches and trucks. But you bump some silly milk tankers once, and suddenly you're confined to rotten goods trains.
Ah, James, just the engine I was looking for. I have good news and bad news.
What's the good news, sir?
I've decided it's time we got you out of the yard.
Oh, sir, gladly. That will be a nice change. What's the bad news then, sir?
I'm putting you in charge of supply trains. We're going to be restoring the old station and branch line by the lake.
Why would that be bad news?
because I've been your controller long enough to know your real feelings about these sort of jobs. Cheerio!
The station by the lake had been abandoned long ago. James didn't like taking the supply trains there. There was something odd. He just couldn't put his buffers on, but he didn't dare mention it to Gordon or Henry. He hid his discomfort in complaints.
Rotten branch line, rotten old station. Waste of time, if you ask me.
Oh, we didn't ask you, actually.
It's only natural Sir Topham Hatt would have chosen you for it. You wouldn't last a week doing our jobs.
Well, he only chose me because you two are too fat for the branch line. Those rails would break the moment you set your wheels on them.
The term is big, not fat. Thank you.
And after that little stunt with the milk tankers, Sir Topham Hatt probably doesn't trust you to be back on the main line. No wonder he's tucking you away on some insignificant little disused line,
Now you listen here, Henry.
Oh, pipe down. I don't have time for your nonsense. I've got the kipper to pull, and unless you'd like to be up early to take it instead, I'd suggest that you quiet down.
The next evening, the men were working late. James sat impatiently, waiting for them to finish.
We're almost finished at the station for tonight, James. We just need to take some of the supplies down to the viaduct before we head back.
If I must. Oh, working this late shouldn't be allowed.
We're all set, so you can quit your complaining. Take us home now.
Good riddance.
Oh, whoa, James! Halt!
I'm not a horse, you know. What's the matter now?
It's a bit strange. I swore we shut off all the lights. I don't much appreciate my men playing games on the worksite. You've got some explaining to do.
Sir? We're all here!
Okay, James, take us back, now.
You don't need to tell me twice.
A ghost? Really? Why do you waste our time with this nonsense, James?
It's not nonsense. Ask the workmen.
Who were probably tired after a long day and seeing things in the night, honestly, James.
I know what I saw. That line is cursed, I tell you, and I'm not going down it again.
And he didn't. Neither did the workmen. A new crew was chosen for the restoration work, and Sir Topham Hatt was now in need of a new engine to take the trains. It came as a shock to the one he chose.
Preposterous!
What?
I already have enough work to do, and now I have to do yours, all because of some ghost malarkey.
It is not malarkey. Besides, it's not like I made Sir Topham Hatt choose you, so don't get cross with me.
I have every right to be cross with you. Next thing you know, you won't want to come out of the sheds because the sun's too bright. Really, James.
Thank you for helping me tidy up around here, James.
Better than being stuck in the sheds with Thing Green and Thing Blue. I'm telling you, Edward, I know what I saw. The workmen can back me up. What more proof do they want? That station is haunted, no doubt about it.
You know I never shy away from a good ghost story, James, but ghosts aren't real. There's surely an explanation for what you saw.
I'd like someone to spell it out for me, then.
I may not be able to solve your mystery, but I think we can at least teach Henry a lesson. Good evening, Henry.
A good evening is when you're sleeping soundly in your berth while other engines do the work they're supposed to, Edward. I'm meant to be up early, not out late. Oh, and for goodness sake, how does anyone get any rest with all these owls hooting? Ooh.
They're hooting for a reason, you know.
Oh, and why, pray tell, is that?
Some say a bad omen. Others say a warning. I can tell you that when the owls hear hoot, a mist rolls in. There's a legend that when the mist's about, there's a ghost about too. You take care in that old line, Henry.
Ah, you've been hanging around with James for a little too long, Edward. You're starting to crack too. Oh, stupid bird. Owls, mist, ghosts. Edward's going soft in the boiler. There isn't any mist.
But Henry was wrong.
What could that be?
That looks like an amber lamp. Proceed with caution. Who's there?
Well, if we could get moving now, please. Come on, it doesn't do us any good just to sit here. Beware the viaduct. No one said anything about the viaduct, did they?
Not that I recall. And look! The gates are closed. And the signal's red.
And there's a fireman's coat.
But where is its owner?
Look! Ghosts! Oh, Edward was right.
Something very suspicious is going on here. I think it'd be best if we headed back for the evening.
So do I.
Hey, close call with that viaduct last night. Some points failed before the bridge. Could have been a nasty accident for you.
Oh, thank goodness. But who warned us?
Eventful night?
No. Quite the opposite, in fact. Only a spot of bother up at the viaduct. I don't know what all your fuss was about. That silly old branch isn't haunted in the slightest. It's quite lovely at night, I think.
Right.
Well, old boy, looks like everything's cleared up at the viaduct. We'll take our train back along the old line tonight.
Oh, yes. Why not? Oh, okay, Henry, okay. Calm night, cool breeze, nothing out of sorts. I hope.
Oh boy, that was a good one.
Well, what's this, lads? Is old Henry spooked?
He sure is.
Gordon got him good.
Oh, be quiet, you silly trucks. I am not scared. And what are you doing here? Don't you have anything better to do?
I wish I had something better to do. I was ordered to bring more trucks for your train.
More trucks? But that's far too many.
And there's reason number 2 for why I'm here. Get a move on. I don't want to stare at your ugly tender all night.
Then push. You're just extra weight at this point.
Unknown to the engines, the gates by the station mysteriously closed by themselves, and the signal went red.
Faster, there's a ghost about!
No, wait, stop!
What's going on?
Then there was trouble.
Wow, boys, stop! Stop! We're gonna hit! We're gonna hit!
Oh, curse this old branch slide. Nothing but trouble happens whenever I come down here.
Cursed is the right word. But I thought you said nothing happened the other night you came down.
Well,
Shush!
Don't shush me, okay, when I'm trying to give you answers.
Be quiet, Henry. Don't you hear that sound?
I'm trying to answer.
Oh, dear.
James, what's that?
Do you think I'd be so nervous if I knew?
I hope it's not the ghost.
I thought you didn't believe in ghosts.
I lied.
Old Bailey appeared out of the fog on a pump trolley, and he was none too pleased with what he found.
I tried to warn you about this mess, but nobody listens to kooky old Bailey now, do they,
Sorry about that, sir. It could have been a lot worse had we not tried to stop it all, so thank you. Is there anything we can do to repay you?
Now that you mention it, I would like to operate that old station again. And I promise I will not spook you fellows again.
Ladies, gentlemen, and engines, it gives me great pleasure to declare this station open. And here to christen it is the friendliest, ghost this island has ever known.
I suppose I owe you an apology, James. I shouldn't have been so rude.
And I suppose I can forgive you. Or maybe I shouldn't.
Don't be so smug. You were still wrong about there being a ghost.
Aren't you boys tired of all this ghost malarkey by now?
More than happy to put it to rest, sir. How long have you been lurking around the station anyway? You could have said hello to the workmen and I the first night we came.
What is this you speak of?
Surely you remember. You scared the daylights out of us.
And out of me, the night before the crash. Beware the viaducts and all that.
You're talking out of your tenders, boys. The night of your accident was the first time I'd been out to this part of the island for years.
What fun for our friends Henry and James. After all that, you'd have thought they'd seen a ghost. Bubbling boilers! There's a ghost! And stuff. And he's really angry. I just want Sir Topham Hatt to be proud of me. Alright, this concludes my endeavor into voice acting. Something that isn't an A3 of LNER origin. Please note in the future that I have a wide range of vocal talent, and that I demand fair treatment, satisfaction, and above all, equal pay to women. God, I hate women. Furthermore, in addition to that, I am delighted to announce, happy to announce that I am taking over as Gordon for the show. I got a phone call from good old Keith Wickham, Keithy Wicks himself, the other day, who confirmed my appointment. It was white smoke coming out of the chimney at Hit, so the torch has been passed. I am Gordon. Stop. Now I'm just dragging this out. I'm so sorry. Not really.
Evening, Skipper. All present and correct, I see. Nice to see you in tip-top shape for Hallows Eve.
Couldn't be better, Olsen.
Evening, James.
Evening, Frank. Isn't my paint the most splendid? Victor just got a... James! What on earth is all that? Oh, hey there, Skipper Stu. What do you mean exactly? Is there a scratch on my paintwork? Those decorations. Those unsuitable things you call decorations. Why do you look so ridiculous? Ah, Skipper Stu. Pleasure to see you. I see you've noticed our starring attraction for this year's Pinewood Island Halloween Parade. We just got him done at the Colville Works. Oh, doesn't he look amazing?
Don't forget that I'm coming too. The parade needs someone to look after the young chuggers for their first year.
You mean engines, right, Olwen?
Well, we've all got our own ways of referring to ourselves.
Well, the matter at hand is I don't think we need full-on decorations for parades and such. A float, I can understand. A decorated wagon, possibly. But an entire engine? Think of the resources and time spent on dressing an engine for just one night! Couldn't you say the exact same thing about the other options? True, but it'd be a little more respectable for the average engine. I mean, look at you! You look like something out of the resort's gift shop!
Did I see you last Christmas brightly decorated? You had so many lights, people kept mistaking you for the holiday train.
You see, Owen, it was a bet.
Oh, you big joker.
I'd hate to intrude, but could you stop chattering and get secured, please?
I'd like to get you all to Pinewood Island in time for the party.
And you certainly wouldn't want to miss a party, would you, lads? No, of course not. You may proceed, Olsen. I swear it was a bet.
That's not what Salty told me.
We'll be right back to the MilanToon PrimeTime Spooky Month Spectacular on the MilanToon channel.
My most perfect creation! Gee, I'll have to do something about that face.
Introducing Spooky Goop, horrifying monster makeup you make up at home. Spooky Goop's bubbling lizard lips, bat bones, and toad toes create a ghoulish goo that makes a monster out of you.
Now that's a face no mother could love.
Spooky Goop, spine-tingling makeup for Halloween or any unearthly occasion.
Last year, one of everyone's favorite candies appeared in a Halloween-sized pack.
Skittles.
And word spread quickly.
Is this the house that gives Skittles? See? I told ya.
I, Speedy McGreedy, have created Frankenstein Mouth.
I want juicy burgers.
We'll go to Hardee's.
The burgers are juicy at Hardee's.
Right, Ivan. Hardee's job Royalson.
Let's say hello to Hardee's.
It's Halloween time. When you buy a burger and soft drink at Hardee's, you get a coin to put in the fun machine, which gives you a Halloween prize.
I got a creepy crawly Halloween thing. I got a Halloween ring.
The fun machine at participating Hardee's.
Wednesday, it's a hair-raising Halloween happening. Catchy beginning. First, that Emmy-winning Fat Cat. It's the trick-or-treat trail. I'm no scaredy cat. It's all new Garfield's Halloween Adventure. Then,
I hear the Great Pumpkin.
the Halloween classic, It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, right after Garfield Wednesday.
Toys R Us has the Big Bird Halloween costume and the Yoda Halloween costume for trick-or-treating.
You miss a lot when you don't drink community coffee.
We now return to the MilanToon PrimeTime Spooky Month Spectacular.
Halloween, down goes the sun. Thomas on a nighttime run. On the tracks round every bend, it's getting dark as daytime ends. Well, it's the night ghosts and goblins play. Everyone knows it's a special day. All the trains say ghosts can be, but all the ghosts just disagree. Skeletons, ghosts, pirates too. Let's dress up, so fun to do. The station's such a spooky scene. Blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Well, in every town, on every street, all the witches and goblins meet. Stop to stop and in between. Hey, blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Ooby-dooby-ra-ra-ra, is that a ghost that Percy saw? Ooby-dooby, run, 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 he'll be glad when this trip is done. Well, Halloween, down goes the sun. Thomas on a nighttime run. All the trains say ghosts can be, but all the ghosts just disagree. Skeletons, ghosts, pirates too. Let's dress up, so fun to do. The station's such a spooky scene. Blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Skeletons, ghosts, pirates too. Let's dress up, so fun to do. It'll be such a spooky scene. Blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Yeah. Trick or treat.
Libby is a sturdy tank engine in charge of McCrackenton Freight Depot. It's near a small town just near the hills beyond Calville and Foston, and often gets deliveries from all over the railway. But the depot is not as big as others on the railway, which makes her feel very uptight about it. If it's not Libby's way, then it's the highway. One night, Livy was cooling her firebox for the night when Jebediah, the engine who pulled the Calville milk train, eased into the sheds. He was a very kindly engine, but he was rather worn out compared to the other engines. Ugh! Keep your soot off my tanks, old-timer, snapped Livy. I've got an image to keep up with my yard. I'm sorry, Livy, puffed Jebediah, but my chug isn't what it used to be. My rods have been jamming up for the last little bit, so I've had to burn more to puff more. But why are you here now? I'm glad you asked, said Mrs. T-Mark, who ran the depot and was preparing to head home for the night. We've just gotten a contract to store and deliver dairy products from all over the railway beginning tomorrow. Livy was shocked. Her yard a dairy yard? But why? Can't that Cormac keep track of cheese with his silly prawns? I'm sorry, Livy, but we finalized the agreement. But it will keep our yard busy, and it'll open up a lot of opportunities if we do it well. But Livy didn't think so. Her yard had to be the way she wanted it. Next morning, the first load started to crawl in with Jebediah's first train. He brought churns of milk from the Gradinia Bay and Calville dairies. Then Tootle delivered cream from Inkblada Towers Creamery. Then Emily delivered butter and eggs from Cliffstone Farms. And Olwen delivered the biggest load of all, cheeses from the Selgrub Bay Cheese Company. Every cheese you could imagine was packed into vans. Cheddar, mozzarella, feta, Swiss, string, Stilton, and even Wensleydale. The vans and refrigerated cars all packed the yards. Siding after siding seemed to be moving vans out and then vans in. Livy couldn't stand it. My yard should be an industrial space with construction materials, containers, and important things. Not a storage yard for a cheese festival. Did someone say cheese? And the more and more freight came in, the more and more she got tired of it. And she didn't treat poor Jebediah any nicer, especially when his rods finally gave out when parking home at the sheds one night. Oh, gosh darn it. Oh, fantastic, she cracked. Now what are we going to do about the Calville train? Don't fret about it, said Mrs. T-Mark. I'm sure Mrs. Ella will find another engine for the job. Now you'd better find a flat car and get poor Jebediah over to the works. And so she did. But her words flew around in her boiler. Find another engine to do the job. Find another engine to do the job. And that's when Libby made a plan. A firelighter comes every morning to ready the engines for the day. After the firelighter left this morning, Libby put her plan into motion. She rounded up every dairy car in the yard and coupled them all together. Then, with a bit of strain, she began to haul the cars off down the line to Blutsburg West Yard. They got so many sidings there that little blue pressure cooker won't mind having some extra work to do. But she'd forgotten about Foston. Foston has two main line connections, a passenger line that leads up to the big station and the small commuter station, and a freight line that goes through the goods yard. Libby was hoping she'd be taken onto the passenger line where she usually went with her traffic, but the signalman hadn't known about Libby, and she was kept on the goods line, following a slow freight before her. Oh, bother, she said. Miss T-Mark will be finishing her breakfast and driving to the yards by now. But that was about to be the least of her worries, for there came a sound that rattled through her vents. Oh no! She cried. It's the Sunrise Skyrocket! She tried to go faster, but there were too many cars behind her. She thought she would be okay, but just as the train was halfway across the points, 2 cars were in pieces. No one had been hurt, and soon Tracy arrived with workmen to help clean up the mess. Miss T-Mark also arrived onto the scene of chaos. Cheese and butter lay all over the track, but worst of all was Libby. She was splattered with cheese all across her side tanks. And as if she didn't make herself look silly enough, 2 wheels of Stilton were stuck and melting on her 2 whistles. You're very lucky that only a small part of the deliveries are being delayed thanks to you. But I hope you understand now that there are times when you should talk to us about concerns. But thinking cheese and milk cars make your yard look silly is not one of them. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. Once you've been cleaned up and mended, you can take care of Jebediah's milk train until he's repaired. And you learn to think of more than what you'd like the yard to be run like. Yes, ma'am.
We'll be right back to the MilanToon PrimeTime Spooky Month Spectacular on the MilanToon channel.
Evil Dead is the most ferociously original horror film of the year. If you think he's kidding, see for yourself. Evil Dead. They got up on the wrong side of the grave. Evil Dead from New Line Cinema.
Starts tomorrow at these theaters. Check newspapers for times.
I think you'll like this house. Isn't this supposed to be haunted? Haunted? What an absurd idea. So, I mean, what would a ghost be doing here? Haunted.
David. No other diet soft drink delivers the real cola taste of 1-calorie Diet Coke. The real one. It's lifting more and more spirits every day.
Just for the taste of it.
The move is on to Diet Coke.
Diet Coke.
Watch out
for him.
It started to happen again. Dad! I'm in trouble. You've had some scary dreams, okay? Help!
Daddy can't help you now. Freddy is back on Elm Street, and he's not a welcome visitor. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 2. Freddy's Revenge. Rated R from New Line Cinema.
Now showing at a theater near you.
As Halloween approaches, you have to prepare yourself for what might happen. More orange sprinkles. It's a special time of year, and Dunkin' Donuts is dressing up their donuts for the occasion. And here's the werewolf. So come to Dunkin' Donuts and get into the spirit of Halloween.
We'd like some Halloween donuts, please.
Oh.
Anything could happen tonight with Mickey Mouse and M&M's candies. Everything's gonna be just right. A special time for fun and M&M's for Mickey Mouse and friends. The magic never ends. Grab on to that M&M's feeling.
My little goblins will be out long after dark, so I depend on Duracell batteries to light their way, because Duracell lasts longer.
Tests prove after just a few hours of continuous use, regular carbon batteries wear out. But you can get up to 5 times more use from Duracell batteries.
That's why I trust my kids' safety at night to Duracell.
Duracell. The copper top battery. No regular battery looks like it.
We're home! Or lasts like it.
We now return to the MilanToon PrimeTime Spooky Month Spectacular.
Okay, so originally I was gonna bring back Ramblings with like a Chuggington toy line review, but that kind of fell through because this video is gonna be a lot bigger than I was expecting, and I just wanted something nice and simple to get up for the March break. So here's a movie I put off reviewing for a few years. Enjoy! My gym partner's a monkey has not aged well with the times, and the Big Field Trip TV movie is pretty much an example of why that's the case. In an era of chowders and out of Jimmy's heads, this was about 3 notches away from out of Jimmy's head. Not that terrible, but like not very good. Credits due, it wasn't one of the worst Cartoon Network shows ever, and it was at least sort of fun in terms of its art direction and voice cast. Unfortunately, the show got sunk thanks to lame writing and uninspired plot lines. Ironic considering the concept of the show about a kid who pretty much gets sent to an animal school thanks to autocorrect is actually a pretty creative premise. If only the plots were just so forgettable, even though I watched a bunch as a kid. But I'm choosing to talk about the TV movie that the show did, mostly because, well, this is kind of a good example of a TV movie from that point when TV movies were big that didn't end up going so well. Nick and Disney are getting profit from the TV movie business! Harold, give every show we've got that's making decent ratings a TV movie! The end result were a couple of TV movies that actually were pretty good, and then some eggs that weren't exactly all that good. This is one of them. The movie pretty much follows Adam Lang and Jake Spider-Monkey, the 2 leads of the show, joining the rest of the Charles Darwin Middle School gang for the annual school band Big Field Trip. Just from that sentence, you actually get a lot of funny opportunities to work with, especially if you've been on as many field trips as I have. It's a nearly 20-year-old college student learning animation. Unfortunately, the writers kind of give up after the first quarter, and instead of going with a funny National Lampoon-style plotline, they just dump them in a forest and then just do 3 different plot lines. I'm pretty sure there's about 3. The major joke being for all of these is they're afraid of actual wild animals because the zoo animals don't have their instincts anymore, which could have been interesting, but they just wasted on jokes that get dragged out for way too long, as do most of these TV movies that have mostly inexperienced crews who are just kind of tooted out into existence. But yeah, the subplots are like Adam loses Piccolo to a chipmunk, that somehow leads Jake to becoming a chipmunk king. The 4 characters are actually funnier than the main leads. They get into Lord of the Flies thing, which they allude to, and then the teacher's doing stuff, and then Adam, like literally the last quarter of the movie, he encounters some bears, and then stuff happens, and bleh. I probably shouldn't have recorded this while I had a cold. The movie's pretty much like actually being stuck on a road trip. You're just kind of sitting there waiting for something exciting to happen, but then nothing really happens and you just want to do something else, but you're stuck there and you can't really do anything. There are times when they actually do throw in some funny jokes, but most of them are either uninspired, uncreative, or just kind of feel like they're there just to get to the 44-minute finish line. Seriously, some of these gags go on for like a solid minute or two. It's pretty not good. It isn't exactly made fun with the two main characters are kind of not really fun to watch. Adam's just Todd from Wayside with no personality, and Jake is just not fun to be around. Not even the beautiful vocals of Tom Kenny can save this poor monkey. Then again, he couldn't save Elf Boy in the movie, but honestly, I'd just rather watch this movie than Elf Boy in the movie. Because Elf Boy in the movie is just terrible. Though at least the side characters, even though they still suffer from bad subplots, are a little more fun to watch. Like, who can remember such iconic characters such as Slips, Principal Pixie Frog, Slips, Windsor, Ontario, Slips, Toucan Sam's cousin, Slips, Jeffrey the Giraffe's sister, and Slips. Okay, the point is, Slips the best character. You can't argue. Slips is just the greatest of them. Even the animation just kind of leaves you feeling, which sucks because the movie is actually kind of nice to look at times. The character designs are all spot on and the backgrounds are just beautiful to look at, and rightfully so, because they won an Emmy. Yes, this TV movie is somehow an Emmy Award winner. I don't know how. Wait, I do know how. Why am I acting like I don't know how? That's kind of redundant. But the actual character animation is just kind of like Family Guy, but not as bad as Family Guy. There's some funny poses here and there, but it's mostly just very generic and uninspired poses that they just kind of pull out every now and then. Though I probably shouldn't complain because I'm a first-year animation student, so I'm still kind of a baby. I am but a beginning bub in the world of animation. But then again, this movie spoils its ending through a freaking who's on what routine, so I don't know. Yeah, spoilers if you actually wanted to watch this movie. The big field trip is to a big field. You get it? It's a big field trip. Also, this ending confuses me because most of the movie is just kind of like, oh, the piccolo causes the animals to go to sleep because real instruments put them to sleep. But they had this, like, they still kind of have instruments. I know they're not like conventional instruments, but they're still instruments. So I know the music is like that they play is bad, but like, why? They're still instruments. But they're still instruments, so why are they being put to sleep? I don't even care. It's not worth it. I'm not friggin' nostalgic, Mr. Not So Nostalgic Critic. Overall, do I recommend the big field trip? No. It's far from worst TV movie ever territory, but it's not really worth your time or effort. It's not even so much a so bad it's good TV movie. It's just kind of like your average, not very good, dragged out, pretty much just pumped out for the sake of advertising TV movie that seemed to be pretty common during this time period. If you want to watch My Gym Partner's a Monkey though, then I would recommend you go ahead and check out My Gym Partner's a Podcast, which pretty much has like the whole first season done so far. So if you want to get a pretty basic idea of watching the show while having some fun watching the show, then go watch that instead. I cannot wait for them to give their thoughts on this movie, and also the other hour-long special that wasn't advertised as a movie, but was still kind of a movie anyway, Animal School Musical, which is actually a little bit more memorable. But anyways, that's enough Gym Partner for the day. I'm Milan, thanks for watching, and maybe more rambling soon. Let's see how this one does, folks. Well, the chunky ones also gotta come out, so you're gonna like have to see that soon. Anyway, see ya! Thomas and Friends. You know what it is, you probably know the changes it's been going through, and we can all agree the show's been a fandom war zone with more changes than ever before due to changing television landscapes. The recent 23rd season provides a major example for this with the sudden change of doing a trio of half-hour specials rather than the 1-hour movie event we're all used to. Launching this is Digs and Discoveries, an experiment using 2 specials as a mini-series package and the main franchise tentpole for the year, while the third special remains standalone. We'll talk about that one later. The specials, entitled All Tracks Lead to Rome and Minds of Mystery, revolve around Thomas visiting Italy with the help of his friend Gina, previously seen in the Great Race movie. Over the course of the 2 specials, Thomas's crippling anxiety challenges him as he tries to prove himself an expert on everything Italian, attempts to make an exciting discovery when his friends from the Sodor Construction Company come to help out, and ends up getting lost in mines both times, all the while trying to thread together the mysterious legend of the Lost Engine, whom he ends up discovering alongside his coach. I'd say that's a spoiler, but all the merchandise already kind of beat me to that. It's kind of like not really a spoiler. I mean, they also have 2 episodes afterwards. Overall, the 2 specials are pretty fun as little excursions of Thomas messing about, but I do agree with a common complaint that these did feel pretty empty compared to even the first attempts at doing specials. There isn't a whole lot of weight or risk compared to previous specials, and it's more or less just an extended version of the international episodes we've come to expect after 2 seasons, rather than feeling like bigger scale adventures like the pilot movie for this era, Big World Big Adventures.
It has fun with the formula more than a 7-minute story usually can by throwing in more action, a little more characterization, and bringing other Sodor characters along for an adventure for a change, but it doesn't really offer much in terms of weight, messages, or morals beyond not everyone can be an expert and you don't need to do big things to impress your friends. That's all stuff the fandom complains about, but my biggest problem with it is what it wants to be as a special isn't really focused. Is it a 2-part movie, a pair of standalone specials, an extended episode, a movie made up of 2 specials and 2 extra Italy episodes? We aren't given much clarity due to the fact this had to be as flexible as it could be to the distributors of the show, and overall the 2 specials suffer. It's like making 2 cakes out of 1 mix but trying to keep them the same weight. It kinda feels stretched thin, but at the same time also tastes pretty good. I mean, you can't go wrong with, Angel Cake. In spite of the special's major flaws, there was still a lot that I liked about it. While the lack of engines made it feel empty, many of the Italy sets are overall incredibly appealing to look at, and take more advantage of having a larger budget with these being long-form specials, rather than using more recolored assets than the show typically has, which, by the way, is not necessarily a bad thing. Animation takes a lot of time and money, and doing a season and a movie each year prior did a number on the animators. The stuff claimed to be budget cuts by fans who don't know a whole bunch about animation is just the result of a bunch of things piling up on them, and eventually having to compensate for it. Besides, this isn't the first point of the franchise where a ton of recycling has happened. Have you seen the model series? Also among the specials positives are the new characters introduced. While I felt Esther and Brenda deserved more time to develop, though Brenda at least got an episode of her own, the cast was overall pretty strong and fun to play around with. Gina is a fun shakeup of the usual positive female characters, with her being both patient and friendly and the typical tour guide character, but at the same time giving her flaws, being prone to losing her temper and not being very patient with Thomas, who's just kind of messing about. Also, I hope they stop making Thomas a jerk in these specials, please. The Lost Engine and Coach, Lorenzo and Beppe, are pretty much a married couple, with Lorenzo letting his ego drive him to adventure, while Beppe looks up to him all the same. I just want all these guys' toys. They're all fun characters. If I didn't have these Adobe bills to worry about, I would totally buy them. We also get Stefano the Super Cruiser, who is the perfect representation of how I feel about this era, because he's a fun, well-written character who also has the silliest, most obviously designed to be a toy design in years. He is pretty much just screaming, "Make me a Superstation sequel," like, look at it! Look at it! Look at it! I want all of you to look at it! But as we come close to the conclusion, one last question to answer is, why did we go from a feature-length movie event and a season to a season and a standalone special plus 2 specials sold as a package alongside an awkwardly handled line of promo merch?
Why is Kevin in so much this merchandise? He barely did anything this season!
Well, you need to keep in mind, the DVD movies were running for a decade by this point. When they first started out, they were a major event for the franchise. You were legitimately hyped for it. Now it was just a standard thing, like, oh, here's a bunch of new characters we're introducing. Wow, Thomas is discovering an old thing. Boy, can't wait to see Thomas go off Sodor for not the first time again. And it's not just fandom snark, parents were probably getting exhausted with these too. You could only buy so many stunt sets every year before you're kind of tired of it. Not to mention, DVD movies were already declining by the time they were starting to do these annually, so it was only a matter of time that this would happen. At the same time, Mattel setting up a contract with Nickelodeon called for the series now doing half-hour specials rather than a full-length movie for each year, for reasons I can understand in terms of Nickelodeon's scheduling viewpoints. They aren't so keen on even 44-minute specials apart from 1 or 2 profitable exceptions. Airing bomb weeks by cutting previous movies took time and lost relevance as audiences demand more consistency in scheduling, rather than dumping the episodes all in one go, and a genuine feature-length movie can take up to 2 hours to run on a block that runs really early in the morning with commercials. At least until it eventually moved onto the sub-channel itself with pretty much no promotion. Seriously, I miss all the cool commercials. What happened to them? They were cool and they were stylized, and now we didn't even get anything for this. While the execution of Digs and Discoveries is awkward, you can at least understand why it's going in this direction. Again, if only the commercial actually... Overall, Digs and Discoveries is a fun pair of extended adventures that are fun but feel sadly lacking despite what it does to up itself from a regular episode. There's some fun new characters, fun returnees, some fun action, and fun animation from Jamville Toronto, but overall it felt like that mandatory school project you had fun ideas for, but had to cut down on for time and to fit in guidelines. But fret not, because remember, there was that 3rd special, which we are going to talk about in another video. Apparently y'all wanted this as a separate video, so I will see you in the next one.
Also, don't bug people if they like this or didn't like this. Your opinions are valid, but you don't need to fight about your opinions on the talking train. the train for Ottawa.
We open up with a train drowning in a Thomas the Tank Engine special.
Jesus Christ!